Hey everybody, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and today we are going to take a look at a technique that I use all the time, one that was developed by Andrew Scheps, and it's his rear bus technique. And it's got a funny name, and we'll talk about why it has that particular name. What it basically is parallel mix compression, but done in a specific way with a specific type of compressor. So this whole thing comes from Andrew's Neve 8068 Mark II console, which was originally developed in the 70s to support quadraphonic or quad recordings that utilize two front speakers and two rear speakers, hence the terminology rear bus. Quad recording or 4.0 recording was a commercial failure, though many albums in the 70s were produced for the format. Basically, the way it's used now is Andrew uses the two front speakers as the actual stereo mix, left and right channel, and the two rear speakers, or the two rear buses, are the parallel mix compression, and that's why that terminology rear bus kind of sticks with it. The way you set this up is fairly easy. You start with a multi-mono compressor. Multi-mono meaning the left side of the stereo mix and the right side of the stereo mix are compressed differently or separately. Whatever input the left side is getting is compressing one way. Whatever input the right side is compressing another way. Generally, if you're doing a stereo mix, they're going to be about the same if your mix is well balanced between the left and right channels. You could try it with a stereo compressor too if you can't get multi-mono to work and see if you get similar results. In Pro Tools, setting up a multi-mono compressor is really easy. You just select it, place it on the channel, and it's within the plugin window. You can do it that way. I'm in Studio One and I had to work around it a little bit. The way we can set up any multi-mono processing in Studio One is to go right here to this icon, which allows us to insert a tool called a splitter. And the splitter in Studio One allows you to split the audio signal a number of different ways. We can do it by frequency, or we can do it by channel, left and right. So what I did is choose channel split, and I put the same exact compressor with the same exact settings in the left channel and the right channel. They're then combined together, essentially making a multi-mono compressor. And you'll see both compressors are up here with the same exact settings on each one. What you want is an 1176 style compressor. I have the one that Andrew actually uses, which is a Universal Audio 1176 AE compressor. It's basically like a version of the Blue Stripe 1176, but it has this extra 2-to-1 ratio that most 1176s don't have. You could also try it with just a regular blackface 1176, which is what Andrew actually used when he did this in hardware. So if you look at the settings here, we can see that we're not hitting the compressor all that hard. The input is not up that high. We have a fair amount of output gain dialed in to make up for the input signal being low. Our attack is as slow as it can be, and our release is quick, but not at its fastest setting, and that kind of stops it from pumping. If you put the release all the way to the right at 7 at its fastest setting, you can get the mix to pump a little bit, and we don't always want that. As I said before, it's at a 2-to-1 ratio, and we're looking for about 2 to 5 dB of gain reduction overall. The rear bus has everything in the mix sent to it except drums. No drums go to it. Sometimes Andrew will send drums to the rear bus, but it'll have a very low level, so the send will not be as hot as everything else in it. Occasionally, bass won't be in there either, but I tend to leave bass in to help glue everything together. So it's basically a copy of the mix without the drums sent to the rear bus. And then that's blended up, sent to your stereo mix, your sub mix, your 2 mix, your 2-bus mix, whatever you want to call it, and blended in with it for parallel mix compression. You'll find the effect really just fills out the mix and glues everything together. So I'm going to play the mix without any of the rear bus, and you can see the fader down here. It's all the way down. So now I'll play that same section of the mix again, but ride the rear bus fader up and you'll hear the sound fill out. You're going to get a little gain boost because you're adding signal to the mix bus, but that's okay. That's what it does. You might notice it's not a really obvious dramatic effect, and it's not meant to be. But if you take it out when the mix is playing, you'll really notice a difference. If you watch the mute icon up here, you'll see I'll mute it as it's playing. It's going to start with the rear bus in, and I'll drop it out. And you can hear just that glue and that fullness start to just not be there when the rear bus is out.
Back when we were weak, in sweet harmony, I remember last September, back when we were.
It just sounds fuller, more together. Part of that's due to the volume bump, but a lot of it is just to that glue compression that's happening there. Just for fun, let's try it with a stereo compressor instead. So I'm going to open up our splitter here, and I'm going to remove the splitter, get rid of the second instance of the 1176, and now we've got just one single stereo 1176. I'll unmute the track and blend that one in.
Back when we were weak, in sweet harmony, I remember last September, back when we were, back when we were weak.
So I hear a little difference between the stereo version and the multi-mono version, but not a whole lot. You could probably get away with using it this way, or using a regular Blackface 1176, or any compressor that's an 1176 style compressor that has those quick attack and release times. So there we have it, Andrew Scheps' famous rear bus technique, a way to fill out your mixes and glue everything together, and a really cool technique to use. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so we can keep you in the loop as to what's coming up next, and I'll see you in the next one.